You know, we've always known that our eyes are too big for our stomachs, but it turns out that our eyes are too big for our minds as well. We have cognitive limitations. In 1956, the famous psychologist George Miller came out with a very simple idea, and that idea still holds true today. He came out with this paper called The Magical Number 7 plus or minus 2. Right? Very simple idea. We keep wanting to attack this idea and say, no, it's too simplistic, but it keeps coming up. And here's how the idea goes. We have some basic limitations of our brains. If I ask you to rank order from best to worst, a whole bunch of things, tastes, smells, looks of things, no matter what it is, beyond about 7, I just get confused. Things I thought I liked better, I like less well, and vice versa. If I ask you to keep track of some things in your minds, words, numbers, pictures, and I don't give you the opportunity to rehearse or memorize that information, beyond about 7, the information just starts to crumble away. Now, if you think about it, what is a choice? It's a bundle of information. What are you doing when you make a choice? You're comparing bundles upon bundles upon bundles upon bundles of information. This can be quite taxing on the mind. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, yeah, I've seen some contexts in which I get pretty overwhelmed with a lot of choice, but you know what? I really like having a lot of choice. You know, what about that time when I want that rare song on that rare CD? So when do we benefit from having more choices? And the answer to that lies in our level of expertise. So let's take a cognitively challenging activity like playing chess. All right, so let's look at the youngest chess master in the world, Judy Polgar. Now, if you imagine Judy Polgar, when she's deciding that next move, she's not looking at just the next move, of course. She's got to look at least 8 moves ahead of where she is right now. If she were to contemplate every single move and every single combination of moves that she has available to her at that moment, it's more than the number of stars in the galaxy. And yet she makes that decision, in the words of Malcolm Gladwell, in a blink of an eye. Now, how does she do that? Does she have this super computer in her brain that just deals with all these choices? No. She sees that chessboard not as made up of individual pieces, but made up of lines of attack as patterns. Her expertise allows her to organize, prioritize the pieces on that board such that she can quickly dump out the irrelevant options and zero in on that handful of most relevant options. It's not that she has a better memory bank. If I were to take that chessboard and rearrange it in a way that doesn't make sense, that wouldn't naturally occur in an ordinarily occurring chess game, she won't do any better than any of us at rearranging and memorizing, re-putting together that chessboard. So, if we have expertise in the domain, which means that we've learned about our options, we've learned all the patterns that are available to us, we do better. We can handle more choices. So, if you think about the modern day choosing environment, who's it best suited for? Well, it's ideally suited for the, quote, experts on the choice domain. So, let's say you want to buy a car. If you know that you want to buy a car that's $30,000 or under $30,000, has a sunroof, has some extra cargo room space in the back, even though you don't know exactly what car you want, simply having that information about what your preferences are will make it a lot easier for you to dump out a whole bunch of irrelevant options and figure out what's your smaller choice set. So for those kinds of things, it's great to have a lot of choice. The problem is that expertise is not that scalable. Just because you're an expert in classical music doesn't mean that you become an expert in rock music. And so therefore, it takes time to develop expertise, and we're limited in our capacity to develop expertise on domain after domain after domain.